Let's talk about a really simple idea that completely changes the game for leaders. It comes from Simon Sinek, and it's all about starting with why. Now, this isn't just some fluffy marketing slogan for giant companies. It's a super practical tool for any manager, for you, who wants to build a team that's genuinely engaged, motivated, and frankly, one that people don't want to leave. So let's just cut right to the chase with a question every single leader has asked themselves at some point. Why is it that some teams seem to be on fire, totally passionate and driven, while other teams are, well, just punching the clock? The answer isn't about bigger budgets or fancy office perks. It's about a fundamental shift in how you communicate. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to expose a huge communication mistake that most leaders make without even knowing it. Then, we'll dive into the simple frameworks to fix it, the golden circle. After that, we'll look at some powerful real-world stories to see how it works, and we'll wrap it all up with a practical toolkit you can literally start using with your team tomorrow. Okay, let's get into it. We're starting with the big one, the fundamental mistake, this communication blind spot that keeps good leaders from being truly great ones. Now take a look at this, because it's probably going to feel pretty familiar. Most of us lead from the outside in. We start with the what. Here are the quarterly goals. This is the new project we're launching. Then maybe we'll explain how we're going to get it done. The why, the actual purpose, the reason it all matters, that's usually an afterthought, if it's mentioned at all. And what's the result? You get compliance, but not commitment. Your team will do what you ask, sure, but their hearts aren't in it. They're not going to innovate or go that extra mile. Inspiring leaders, they flip this entire thing on its head. They start from the inside out. They start from why. So how do we make that flip? Well, Sinek gives us this incredible, game-changing idea. It's a brilliantly simple model called the golden circle, and trust me, this is the key to everything. So look at what you're seeing here. It's kind of like a target, right? At the very center of the bullseye, that's your why. This is your purpose, your cause, the real reason your team shows up in the morning. And let's be super clear, your why is not to make a profit. That's just a result. Your why is the contribution you make. The next circle out is your how. These are your values, your guiding principles. And that outer ring, that's your what. The tangible things you do, the products you sell, the services you offer. The most important thing to get is that great leaders always communicate from that center circle outwards. And get this isn't just some nice management theory. It's literally hardwired into our biology. See, when you talk about your what, the facts and figures, you're talking to the neocortex. That's the rational part of our brain. It gets the data, but it doesn't drive our behavior. But when you talk about your why, you're speaking directly to the limbic system. That's the part of the brain that controls all our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's where all our gut decisions come from. This is why Sinek's famous line is so true. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And this is the perfect example. Apple communicates its why first. We exist to challenge the status quo. Their how is by making things beautifully designed and simple to use. And their what? Oh, they just happen to be great computers and phones. See how that works? It's the proof of their belief. This is exactly why Apple has created this tribe of fiercely loyal fans. People aren't just lining up for a piece of technology. They're lining up for an identity, for a piece of that cause. So that deep connection that Apple creates, that's called inspiration. And it is fundamentally different from how most organizations try to motivate people. Understanding this difference is absolutely critical because inspiration is like a magnet, and the alternative? Well, that's more like a hammer. Let's just be really honest about these two approaches. Manipulation, that's your price drops, your special promotions, even using fear or peer pressure. And look, these tactics work, but only for the short term. They create transactions, not loyalty. And over time, they actually destroy trust. Inspiration, on the other hand, is built on a shared belief. As a leader, your job is to find people who believe what you believe. When you do that, you create a culture of real trust and loyalty, a team that sticks together through thick and thin because they're connected to the cause, not just the paycheck. This story just captures it perfectly. You had Samuel Pierpont Langley. The guy had a $50,000 grant from the government, all the top minds, the press. He had everything. His why? He wanted to be rich and famous. Then, a few hundred miles away, you have the Wright brothers, funding their dream with the profits from their little bicycle shop. Their why? They had this passionate belief that if they could figure out flight, it would change the world. That belief inspired their small team to pour their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And what happened? The moment the Wrights took flight, Langley just quit. He wasn't in it for the cause. The lesson is so clear. A powerful why can beat almost any resource disadvantage. And the danger of losing your why is very real. Remember TiVo? They had a revolutionary what? I mean, pausing live TV? Incredible. But they never really told us why it mattered beyond the feature. They sold a product, not a cause, and it just fizzled. Or think about Walmart. Sam Walton built an empire on a really powerful why, to serve communities. But after he was gone, the focus shifted to the what of just cutting costs. And a lot of people would say the company lost that deep connection it once had. Your why is your North Star. If it gets fuzzy, you risk losing your way entirely.
All right, so theory's great, but let's get practical. This is the part you've been waiting for. How do you actually put this to work with your team? Let's dive into your actionable toolkit right now.
As a leader, your job really boils down to these three things. First, you need clarity of why. You have to be able to say in one simple sentence why your team exists. Second, you need the discipline of how. This means your values and your processes have to actually line up with your why. And third, you need consistency of what. Everything your team does, every single thing you produce, has to be tangible proof of your purpose. You can't just talk the talk, you've got to walk the walk. So what does this actually look like day to day? Well, when you're hiring, look past the resume. Hire for belief. Ask questions that get to their personal why. When you're making a big decision, use your team's why as a filter. Ask, does this new project honor our purpose? You also have to communicate your why constantly. It can't be a one-time thing. Start your meetings with it. And most importantly, you have to live it. Your team is always watching you. You have to be the living embodiment of your team's values. Now, here's a really important warning for every successful leader. Beware of what Sinek calls the split. This is what happens when a team gets successful, and the focus slowly shifts from the founding why to just the what, the metrics, the processes, the scale. When this happens, the passion starts to fade and the organization can lose its soul. The only way to avoid this is to constantly, consciously pull the focus back to your why. It has to stay front and center no matter how big you get. All right, we've covered a ton of ground, but none of this means anything unless you put it into practice. So before we go, I want to leave you with one final and I think most important challenge. This is where the rubber meets the road for you. You can't inspire your team if you're not inspired yourself. So I want you to really think about this. What's your personal why? Why do you lead? And it's not about the title or the money. What is the real contribution you want to make? What's the impact you want to have on the people you lead? Just think about that for a second. So here it is, your challenge for this week. I want you to find some time, sit down, and write out your team's collective why in one single, clear, inspiring sentence. And once you have it, don't just put it in a drawer. Share it. Start your next team meeting with it. Kick off your next project with it. I promise you, taking the time to do this one thing will be one of the most powerful moves you make as a leader. It's the first step to building a team that is truly inspired. Because when people know why, the what takes on a whole new meaning.